You are at a crossroads, and time is running out if the current course is not changed. There are certain potential trajectories that are very concerning. However, humanity is a beautiful creation. Humans are a masterpiece, and there is nothing wrong with them. They are just not mature enough and therefore dangerous to themselves. There is a real concern for self-destruction, just like it happened a few times before, including but not limited to the destruction of Atlantis. What is wrong with a baby because she can't run or even walk? What's wrong with a toddler who can't read or do math? You get the point. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just that you are very young from our perspective. You are destructive and dangerous because you just can't grasp the ramifications of your own actions. Recall the famous quote by Jesus, "Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they are doing." He was referring to humanity at large. Luckily, it is a temporary state, and eventually you will outgrow it. You will evolve as a society when the majority gets it. The potential you have is enormous, and it is exciting for us to see you grow. So we are babies full of potential, but you said us. What do you mean by that? I was under the impression you are my higher self, as in singular me. Who are us? Nom. At my point of development, there is no longer individual consciousness. Collective united consciousness is all there is. Technically, it's the same for you all too, but you are still strongly unaware of it. For you right now, your individual perspective seems much closer and more relatable than the collective perspective. This is a false understanding, as you operate in the collective plane much more intensely compared to your own isolated consciousness. Many of you ignorantly deny this fact and believe that your own singular existence is separate from others. It's simply untrue. If you were able to wear special vision glasses that show connections between people, you'd be amazed. Your impact upon each other is profound. It's just that you don't know it yet, not to the degree it actually is. But I know you already know it deep down. It has been imprinted in your energy field. It's not a new concept, of course, and no, it's not settled in your psyche yet strongly enough to manifest it. You still fight and somewhat resist it. The state of resistance is what pollutes your connections with each other. Only when you all wish to unite as a whole will your old preconditioning become obsolete, and your unlimited potential will be unleashed. Why do we resist our oneness, do you think? Nom. Fear mostly. You are afraid of what the other might do to you, how they can potentially harm you, take from you, abuse you, etc. You need each other, yet you are terrified of letting your guards down. It is currently a prevalent energy amongst humans with very limited exceptions. It is ancestral. It is based on your experience. You can't help it. Who is the exception? Nom. Some aboriginals, indigenous tribes across the globe, usually in rural and less industrially developed regions of Earth. They still have the communal spirit in them and are not separated into individual consciousness. They are the stitches, so to speak, to this cut-off human oneness. You're having a hard time finding ways to connect. It is temporary, of course. Does it mean our socio-economic and scientific progress backfires and creates separateness? What are the other factors? Nom. Yes, indeed. That is an undeniable trend. In the past, you were too dependent on one another to separate. You simply would not survive. Nowadays, you can be completely alone and disconnected from the group and still have sufficient means to survive, especially in the western parts of the world. Loneliness and disconnect are a price to pay for industrial development. It will get worse before it gets better. What are the other factors, you ask? There are many. The fruits you are reaping are the result of the seeds planted long ago. The issue is only now coming to the surface due to industrial progress in the past few centuries. People on Earth are angry, very angry at each other, at the unsatisfying life they have, at all the restrictions and fake values that have been hijacking humankind for thousands of years. The anger is generational, and like a snowball, it accumulates to the point of becoming an avalanche. What makes us so angry exactly? Could you explain more? No. In a nutshell, it's the injustice and prolonged abuse of one group of people by another, one person by another. You have accumulated a huge amount of global negative karma. Although karma is not exactly an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type of retaliation, it is rather the unbalanced energy within one's soul, energy storage, and a collective, a soul family type of energy. Humanity has thousands of years of enslaving one another, taking advantage of one another, killing, repressing, raping, degrading, and mind-controlling one another. This energy is heavy and weighs you down like a heavy rock around your neck. You cannot evolve to high-dimensional existence until this karmic distortion is balanced out by deeds balancing out the original wrongdoings. It will take time. What prevents us from balancing this karma at the present time? Why can't it happen quickly? Resistance for one. Corruption, as we discussed earlier, is another big factor. Mind control and the inability to think freely and discover the truth through your soul's perspective are also crucial. Instead, you're listening to your external conditions, which are unfortunately quite rotten with greed and selfishness, therefore amplifying the imbalance even more. Only by attuning to the higher, inner truth can humanity step up to the healing phase. Is there help being provided for us from somewhere to assist us through this crossroad phase of our development? Always. You are loved and cared for by the vast universe. It's not just a beautiful statement, it's true. There is so much energy and resources put into your evolution, it would be impossible for you to comprehend the scale of it. You are cherished as a planet, as a human race, and as every individual soul. The help is mostly undetectable to you due to the limitations of your perception. However, more and more of you are becoming intuitively aware of it. You call such individuals lightworkers, healers, and visionaries. You will see more and more such people coming to Earth at this time. The number of them is exponentially increasing. They have arrived to propagate the seeds of higher consciousness among humans. They will do the work from within, which will make a positive impact on the mass consciousness over time. This is very interesting. Who are they? Are they aliens? We have a lot of talk about aliens lately. Well, technically anyone who is not from here physically or in its consciousness is an alien. Even people from different countries are aliens to you. You can certainly classify them as such for your convenience. However, they are not aliens per se, and don't walk around shaking their antennas in broad daylight, nor do they wear metallic suits. Rather, they come from more advanced realms of consciousness, and, for that reason, are aliens to you. But their presence is crucial for the planet's future. They will continue tuning humankind to the wave of unity, compassion, and love. Later in the day, while writing this chapter, I kept thinking about free will and the Holocaust. I can't imagine that the free will of everyone was considered in this mass slaughter of Jews. I asked Nom to explain how those two seemingly opposite concepts make sense in the context of what happened. Nom: The concept of free will can make more sense to you when taken from a deeper and more universal standpoint. What an isolated human personality perceives through the individual ego is very different, and should we say very limited, compared to the larger extension of consciousness. Global events such as wars and the Holocaust in this instance take global free will into consideration rather than individual wishes. This is a painful topic for you, as to my knowledge you also chose to die in a gas chamber as an infant with your parents and siblings to serve a greater lesson for humanity. That's right, you chose, just as many thousands of Jews did. It might still make no sense, but I will try to explain. Collectively, there was a heavy stigma accumulated around the Jewish population, particularly in Europe. Anti-Semitic crusades, instigated primarily by the Roman Catholic Church and supported by various socio-economic movements, had been happening for at least 1,000 years prior to the Holocaust. That's why the Holocaust manifested itself in the heart of Europe and nowhere else. The roots were strong and deep there for anti-Semitic attitudes. Although genocide has been a part of human history for a very long time, the most widely known deliberate slaughter of a particular nation revolves around Jews. Long story short, there was a feasible danger of the extinction of Jewish DNA as part of humanity if such killings were not stopped. The extinction of any DNA group is detrimental to the energetic balance of the Earth and needs to be addressed immediately. How do you stop it if it is deeply seeded in the minds of the common population? You can heal only what you can feel. You can only address the problem through awareness. That is why many souls chose to incarnate collectively at that time in the territories of Europe, where Hitler could enact his monstrous deeds. Humanity experienced a shock when the awfulness of the Holocaust came to light. The collective stigma of anti-Semitism spread through a global awakening, shaking humanity to its core. This is exactly what was meant to happen. You see, on the global level, both the free wills of the Third Reich and the Jewish population worked together to produce a rapid shift in consciousness. Although from the human perspective they were enemies, and so much pain and suffering came from the confrontation of those opposite forces, in the end, free will is free will. It is a sacred concept and will be honored by the law of the universe regardless of how it appears from the limited earthly perspective. The effect of the painful history of the 1940s, an independent state of Israel was finally born and took its place near Europe. Finally, Jewish people had the freedom to live and procreate with no danger to themselves and openly display their religious and cultural heritage. Although the global population of Jews is still slightly under the pre-war numbers, the quality of life is improving and shows a promising trend. Many souls among those 6 million who died during the Holocaust are incarnated in the present time in Europe, Israel and other countries, including Germany. Those souls who sacrificed themselves for the sake of raising awareness are now also active contributors to global progress. Their powerful energy is here and continues its mission of enlightenment. Please support us by liking this video and subscribing to the channel.